This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Oh my!
Think of this first.
Elizabeth, you've turned our nightstand table into an IKEA kitchen.
I don't have to get out of bed.
You don't get out of bed anyways.
Don't.
Move! Look at
Genius.
this.
Stop.
You've organized
So
your
good.
snacks before your makeup station.
Priorities.
Priorities. You call this priorities? Look at it.
Away.
Your bras are
Yeah.
touching the dishes. Every bite's gonna taste like Victoria's Secret.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he's just teasing her. But I
He is
love
just
that.
teasing her.
That's super cute.
There's something about.
I have snacks in my nightstand.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I love edibles.
Okay. Are edible snacks? Because then we're on a whole different level here.
So edibles make you get the munchies. I don't know if you know anything about
Oh,
marijuana.
Okay. I get you. I get you.
I get the munchies, and so I have my little snacks.
So, welcome to the show, everyone. Milf and Me podcast. My
Hello.
lovely co-host Diana.
Hi.
So, Valentine's Day was a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
We released an episode that was mostly about finding you a Valentine.
It was supposed to be about finding me a Valentine.
Right. Getting on Locanto and finding all these spicy guys that were looking for the perfect person for Valentine's.
Yeah.
But we started off the episode with this whole thing that we found on the internet about people with J names, right?
Yeah.
Needless to say, and I was not expecting this, people got triggered.
They did.
We had J names coming out of the woodwork.
I had J names texting me. Like texting my phone number, not DMing me.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had thousands of views, literal thousands of views on
Yeah.
TikTok
Yeah.
of that clip about J names.
So good.
There was almost 1,000 on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then probably the most responses I've ever seen on my feed of Instagram about this J name bullshit.
Do you want to know my favorite part about it?
Yeah, please tell me.
So, in the clip, they didn't listen to, like, you can tell they didn't listen to the whole episode.
Right.
They just listened to the clip because I literally I just knew that I'd have some people coming after me. So I put a disclaimer in there, remember?
Yeah, you did.
I said, not all J's, but most of them.
And the girl in the clip even says it too. She's
Yeah.
like, you could be married to a guy with a J name and it's
Yeah.
fine. Good on you.
Yeah.
People came out of the woodwork.
And I'm like, why are you getting so personal? Like, why are you
Why
taking
you-
this?
yeah,
This
take
is
it
not a personal
personally.
attack. This is not a personal attack. Yeah, it's cute.
Right. Like on YouTube, there was this one girl who's like, you realize you're just making everyone more stupid.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'm not. It's a thing already.
yeah, it's so funny. People try, and I love it. Like I said, I've told this to you before, Antonio, but I'll say it on here again and again. I'll keep saying it. I am a really hard person to get to. Like,
Right.
it's going to take a lot for you to like get under my skin. But I posted a video of me on Valentine's Day cleaning the shit box,
Mhm.
the cat's shit box. And I posted that, and someone commented, "No wonder why you're single." And I loved it. I was like, absolutely, 100%. This is literally why.
Right.
Right. However, there's way more layers to me than that. Like, there's a lot of fucking reasons why I'm single.
Right.
Like, you're not going to get under my skin with those comments on a platform that the public has access to. It's just not going to happen. So I love this podcast so much because it really allows me and you to just share with people our opinions, which for the most part is right on the fence. We're on the fence with a lot of things.
We are 100%.
But the J name thing, you could tell there were people that really, truly, possibly believed that about themselves. And that's why they were really taking it personal. And I was like, well, maybe you should take a step back. Is it true?
Is it true?
Have you asked yourself, is it true? Maybe
This
it is.
is what was really interesting, right?
Mhm.
How much validation we got from female listeners.
We got a lot.
We got a lot of validation.
We got more. Then not.
Than not.
Mhm.
And then the ones that were dudes, I mean, we're
Yeah.
friends with some J names. We're like, hey.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to assume anything, buddy. You know,
Yeah.
your reactions are your reactions.
Yeah.
You've got your own shit going on. We weren't trying to like pinpoint you in particular, you know?
It is something about that. I don't know what it is. I've dated a G name. I've dated an M. I've dated a D. I've dated
You've
so
dated-
many different letters. J
You've
is
dated
the letter.
alphabet.
J is the letter. I don't know what it is. Come at me. Come at me all day.
So
Yes.
I had a conversation with my partner about it.
Yeah.
She started deconstructing it. She's like, holy shit. She's like,
She found some J's in her life.
well, she has a couple J's in her life. And then we started going through her friends and coworkers and colleagues
With
and
J's?
people that we know. And it was all J names. All of them. So she was like, I don't like to
That is not an
fall-
accident. That's not an accident.
Yeah, it's not. She's like, I don't like to fall into like this hyperbole of shit you hear on the internet and think, oh, it's true.
Yeah.
But this one's making a lot of sense
Yes.
because we went through a list of all the people that she's really close with
Yeah.
and baby daddies that took off, J names, right? Gaslighters,
Yeah.
mental abusers, freeloaders, hobosexuals,
It's wild.
all J names.
Can't make it up. We can't make it up.
This will probably be a clip and the J names will probably get pissed off again. Dude,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you I'm sorry right now.
If you have a J name and you want to have a conversation about this, let me know.
It almost makes me
I would
think,
love to get on a video chat or
wouldn't it be
phone call.
funny? Wouldn't it be funny
Yeah.
if all of a sudden like you see support groups open up for J names?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi,
I
my
could-
name's Jason.
My name's Jack.
My name's Joe. I got a J name.
I'm here because I hate myself. I have a J name.
It's been 45 days since I last Jade.
Yes.
Oh shit.
I love that. What the hell do you have today? I'm a little skeptical. I don't know why.
So there was such good response about
Mm.
all the personal ads that we found in Utah on
Yeah.
Locanto.
Yeah.
People did not realize how hedonistic Utah can be, right?
Oh, fuck yeah.
And it's one of those things that we've talked about before in the podcast. I've heard lots of people who've come to Utah for the first time say it. It's like Utah's got two different peoples, right? We got two different populations.
Yeah.
You've got the really ultra conservative religious types, and then you've got fucking heathens.
The freaks.
You got the freaks, and they
very
come out
rare.
to play, and they're coming out a lot more. They're feeling more comfortable. And it's interesting because we're seeing legislation now trying to shut that down.
Yeah.
We got legislation that just popped up trying to ban trans
Yep.
bathrooms.
Trans bathrooms. Yeah.
We've got this one person right now who's in hot water because she's on a school board and questioned the gender of a teenage athlete.
She thought that this girl was a boy.
Right.
Damaging.
Damaging.
I hope that family sues the fuck out of the school district. Anyway, that's a different story.
Different story. Don't want to get too deep into that, but it went back into my mindset of I forget there's just so many popular misconceptions about this state.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go through those today.
Oh.
So this is a list called 27 things that people from Utah have
27.
to explain to out-of-towners. That's a very low number.
Ooh.
I think they just picked the ones that are the most
Are we going through
prevalent.
all 27?
We'll see how far we get. We like to
Holy
keep a time frame on this podcast.
Okay.
But I think the number one thing, and this is exactly what I would have said, is that not everyone in Utah is Mormon, right?
Right.
The number one stereotype of Utah is that it's crawling with Mormons, and if you're not white or part of the LDS faith, you'll stick out like a sore thumb. And it's true. A large part of the population is Mormon, but check out the Sugar House District in Salt Lake City, your old stomping grounds,
Yep.
and you'll find out how wrong that assumption is. I mean, I think it was just this last year where we almost hit the 50-50 mark, where
Yeah.
half the population is Mormon. I think they go by, this is where they're tricky, because the church is tricky. If you don't get your name removed from the records, they can still count you
Yeah.
as an active member.
Yeah.
So when they're putting out their statistics, and that's why they're so just gripping onto the people who are
It takes
in
a
their
lot.
ranks.
It takes a lot to remove your name from the Mormon list.
I mean, it took me 20 years
My
because
name is still on it.
yeah.
I'm still a number.
yeah, like I was not raised LDS for a few years. We practiced. It was old enough for me to get baptized at 8 years old. And then like a year later, we stopped going. And it took me 20 years to get my name off that list.
I don't care. I have other things to worry about in my life than to worry if I'm part of the Mormon number. I just don't care. I really don't. There's a lot with the Mormon church that I think is great. Not a lot I think is really crazy. But I did not go through the effort of sending them a 1-page essay
Right.
as to why I need to have my name removed because I simply don't care.
Right.
So for me, I got baptized when I was 18 and when I was an adult and left the church when I was 30, but I wasn't belligerent about it. I just said, please don't contact me and
don't send people to my house.
and
don't send
and they were
people with
respectful.
envelopes. So.
Yeah, they were super respectful about it and they said no problem. And which is cool. Like that's a boundary.
Number 2, not everyone is a polygamist either.
Mm-hmm.
The inevitable question that Utahs get asked by out-of-towners is if they're polygamists.
And then you say yes, but that community is in Daybreak. That's a Daybreak
Right.
community.
The swinger community in
swinger
Daybreak.
open. Yeah.
The show Big Love did nothing to simmer down the stereotype either. Yeah, so Big Love was a show.
Yep.
Wasn't shot here, shot in California, but it was set here. It was set in Sandy, right? And it kind of showed that there's a lot more polygamists living out in the open
Yeah.
than there really are. But, it was very accurate in the sense of there are polygamous families that own big businesses out here and they do own a few blocks of properties and they kind of go back and forth. That was accurate.
Yeah.
But
That's like down south.
right.
That's like in Kanab
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3, Utahns worship at the altar of fry sauce.
Yes.
So this one's funny to me because a lot of people don't know that fry sauce is a Utah original.
Yes, it is.
The idea that someone put ketchup and mayonnaise together and in a squeeze bottle. Let's see. 1 part ketchup, 2 parts mayo, and you got yourself some fry sauce.
Yep.
Additional ingredients may vary depending on how fancy you want to get, but that's the base.
Do you do anything fancy with yours? Sometimes I'll do a little bit of barbecue sauce just to give it a little.
Yeah. So barbecue sauce is a good way to go. I actually worked for the guy that didn't invent it, but mass marketed it. So one of my first restaurants I worked for, he was one of the early owner operators of Arctic Circle. And
that's where it started
invented fry sauce. And so he got out of Arctic Circle and created his own commissary that just created fry sauce for Arctic Circle to buy in mass quantities. Yeah, and that's how he got all his money.
You just became a dealer for, oh my God, that's incredible.
He's like the Walter White of fry sauce.
That's incredible. Yeah, he's like, I know what they need. I'm going to quit and go invent my own thing that they have to buy from me.
Right. Number 4,
Brilliant.
the squeaky Utah clean image isn't just an image. Say what you want about the Mormon influence over the state, but one thing you can't argue is how clean and family-friendly the state is overall because of it. There's a lower percentage of drinkers and smokers, along with less profanity running through the streets. Speaking of streets, they're pretty clean too. Now, this is one I think is starting to change a little bit as more outsiders are coming into the state, but it's always been the joke. It's so hard to get a drink in Utah. Yeah, it fucking was for years.
Yep.
You still can't buy alcohol on a Sunday. Liquor stores are closed.
Yep.
You can get 5% beer in the store and that's it. We don't sell beer and wine in the grocery stores.
Yeah. You have to really plan your weekend, holidays, and all of that around the liquor store hours.
If you're an out-of-towner, good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Like if you show up on a Saturday PM and
Yeah.
you're looking for a place to buy wine, you're fucked until Monday.
Yep.
And if Monday is a holiday, you're fucked until
again.
Wednesday.
Yep. Like
Because-
this coming
yeah,
weekend. Yeah.
right.
Like we have a holiday
Exactly.
weekend. Yep.
Do you remember, because it was right when we almost hit our drinking age,
Mm-hmm.
that before there were open bars here, there was the private club law?
No.
So, you were in San Diego at that point probably, or
Okay.
almost to it.
Okay.
So my first few years as a drinker here in the state, you still had what was called a private club law. You couldn't just walk into a bar and get a drink. All bars were called private clubs.
Really?
So you had to either pay a cover charge as like a temporary club membership, or someone who paid a monthly fee to the club to be a member had to like endorse you, right? Like, okay, he's with me and I'm a member of this club. That went away like right around like the time I was 22 and you could just walk into bars again.
Yeah, I left. I was living in San Diego during that time because that's when I
Yeah.
got married. That's wild.
That fucking law was on the books for like 30 years.
Wow.
So like the only town that didn't have to play that law was
Yeah.
Park City because of the Sundance Film Festival.
Right, right.
Like, okay, we can't just have like this private club law for all these people drinking. So
Yeah.
like Park City was exempt, I think, but the rest of the state, I mean, there's still parts of Utah County you can't buy beer on Sundays in the grocery store.
Oh, I know.
They got these big drapes that they put in front of the beer set.
Yeah, that's what I remember the most growing up because I would go with my brother. We would go over the point of the mountain just to get beer for Sunday, like for him and all of his buddies or whatever. Like we would drive to the point of the mountain, like into Salt Lake. When I say that for the people that don't know Utah, there's like the point of the mountain. So there's Utah County and then Salt Lake County. And when you drive over the point of the mountain, then you're in Salt Lake. And then the Salt Lake laws were a little different than the Utah County laws. And it's about a 30-minute drive, you know?
And that was mostly because of BYU being in Provo.
The epicenter.
They didn't want the college students
Brigham Young
being
himself
tempted.
in Provo. Yeah. Anyway, crazy shit. This state's weird.
Number 7, Utah folks serve funeral potatoes at pretty much every
They're
gathering.
so good.
Otherwise known as potato hot dish, funeral potatoes can be found at every church and family gathering across the state and funerals too.
Fucking delicious.
Funeral potatoes are essentially the hash brown casserole from Cracker Barrel.
Yes.
They're either shredded or diced potatoes, cheese and sour cream, and then like corn flakes or some kind of crispy topping on top. They're fucking delicious.
Yeah, they are delicious. That's my comfort food for sure.
Right.
This next one makes me want to gag.
Yeah.
Oh.
Utah eats more green Jell-O than anybody. It's not a joke or stereotype. Green Jell-O is big business in Utah. It's so popular, in fact, that the commemorative pin for the 2002 Olympic Games was a bowl of green Jell-O. Really. It says really.
It's so funny.
And it's not just green Jell-O, right? Like you put shit in it.
They put shit in it. It's like, what shit did you put in it this time? What'd you have in the fridge?
Everyone's got their family recipe of green Jell-O salad.
Fucking celery slices.
Shredded carrots, cottage cheese.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember
cottage cheese.
I remember being to like a few parties where it was like shredded carrots and cottage cheese, and then like you put marshmallows and raisins on top. It's like the fuck.
Oh my God, marshmallows and raisins, as if cottage cheese wasn't enough.
Utah
just
folks
sounds like a bowl of shit.
Utah folks, we'll make this as a clip, and we want you to respond with what crazy Jell-O recipes your family
I need
served.
whiskey in this. There's no whiskey in my drink. Oh my God, that's disgusting.
Did
That's
your mom
horrible.
do Jell-O?
We weren't Mormon.
Yeah, but I mean, you live in the community. Like,
No,
no one sees like someone doing their best Jell-O salad. Like, oh, now I have to make my own.
fuck no. No. I don't even know if my mom knows about. Well, I'm sure she did later on, but she never served up green Jell-O with a bunch of shit thrown in it.
So here we go. Yes, people in Utah can totally drink. Some people actually think you can't drink in Utah. Prohibition ended in the 30s, and Utah signed it the same day as Pennsylvania. So don't worry, you won't have to head out into the woods to whip up some moonshine if you want to get your buzz on. Utah has bars, breweries, festivals, just like your state. So cheers. So yeah, it is a lot easier to drink now. And we've got
This article's funny.
breweries now. We've got distilleries now.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, like 15 years ago, that was not the case. Like
Go into
it was
the
still
woods
difficult.
and make your own
Moonshine.
That's
I know a guy
so
that
great.
makes moonshine in his garage, and it's fucking great.
Yeah.
There is some weird shit though about like how they operate festivals, right? So
Oh God.
like beer festivals and brew festivals,
Yeah.
they may as not well exist here. They'll try and put them on, but how they work is they give you like a token system. Like you're only allowed 10 tokens.
Right.
So if there's like 30 beer tents, you can only try 10 of them. Like there are these weird laws.
And they have
shit.
undercover
They do
they have
DABC.
undercover DABC and undercover cops that are actually in the crowd, like at a show, like a concert or whatever show. And they keep an eye because Zach, my son,
Uh-huh.
I took all of his friends to some concerts at USANA, outdoor concerts in the summer. And they had their eyes on me.
Yeah, I bet.
'Cause I had the wristband and I was drinking the
Right.
seltzers or the beers, and they were watching to see if I was passing it out to the kids that are under 21. And I was like, I don't fuck with that. Like,
Well,
these
that's
are
a
my
fucking
drinks.
red flag to begin with. First
Right.
of all, what is this MILF doing
Right.
with all these 19,
Yeah.
20-year-old boys?
Yeah. It's because my son is a people collector like I am. And it was like, oh my gosh, you can get us tickets to this and tickets to that. And we would go to the shows and have a good time in the summer. But I do not fuck around with that stuff. And it was so cute because I knew who they were and they were watching me and I was watching them. And I was like cheers, drink my drink. I'm like, you're not going to catch anything over here. But yeah, it's true. They fucking watch you.
So you know how they do their stings for that?
Yes.
It's kind of crazy. It's kind of weird. So
I've heard of them.
if you are an underage kid that gets busted
Mm-hmm.
trying to buy alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Using a fake ID or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got like your juvenile shit, you've got like your public service stuff, or you can be a narc. What they'll do is they'll send you, the 16-year-old kid, into a restaurant or to the liquor store or
On
to a grocery
purpose.
store on purpose, and they'll give you money and have you try and buy alcohol from the person at the counter or
Then
the
they
server.
shut down the restaurant.
And if you fuck up, well, they don't shut down the restaurant, they shut down your liquor license.
Right.
So like strike 1 is a huge fine. Strike 2 is no liquor for like 30 days, which if you're a popular restaurant,
Yeah.
that fucks you.
Dude, that's a completely different conversation.
Right.
Like, it's hard to get your liquor license in Utah anyway.
Anyway.
So if it gets taken away from you, it's even worse getting it back.
Yeah, I've worked in restaurants that have gotten shut down because of that. And like they just clear house.
Yeah.
Like everyone's fucking fired. We're
Yep.
starting over fresh.
Yep.
Like if you miss 2 stings, like it's totally not worth it. And you're not allowed as a server to sell alcohol for like a year. So if
Yeah.
you're a server and you get busted in a sting, you are literally fucked for a year.
Right.
Like you got to go find some other job.
No, I mean, I served beer at the Jet. For
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
You know, with
You
the
were in
Utah
food and
Jazz.
beverage,
I was
I
in
know.
food and beverage,
Yeah.
and I served beer, so we had to ID everybody. It was crazy. Yeah, you can't fuck around with that stuff in this state.
This one I don't understand. Utah is a square donut fan. If you don't even know there was such a thing as a square donut, then consider yourself a confectionery world. Consider your confectionery world a whole lot bigger now.
Huh.
And if you've heard about them but didn't understand, then you need to stop what you're doing and go to your local Lehigh bakery right now.
Right now.
Right now.
We got to
right now.
go.
Okay, I get what they're saying.
We
I've
gotta
seen
go to the
these.
Lehigh
I've seen
Bakery
these-
right
I've
now.
seen these in grocery stores.
Have you?
Yeah. They are square donuts instead of round
I've seen
because
them,
there's
but-
less waste that way. So like you can roll out a whole sheet of donut roll
got
and then
you.
you do a square grid instead of cutting circles out. But then you don't get the donut holes, right? Because that's what donut holes
That's
are.
right.
All the rest of that dough they toss in there.
I
A
see.
Stupid one to
That's
put on here. It's
interesting.
interesting, but it's like, really?
Yeah, that's dumb.
When it comes to film festivals, Utahns accept no substitutes. Many other states have tried to stage their own version of Sundance, but none have come close. This annual film festival is the most popular in North America and one of the biggest in the world. It draws out huge names in the movie industry and has brought fame to previous unknowns like Kevin Smith and Quentin Tarantino. We just had it. Like it just happened
I
like,
love
2 weeks
Quentin.
ago. I mean, I like
I
Quentin
would
too.
I would really be starstruck if I got to meet him.
Yeah, it's a great festival. And again, it's one of those things where it's like Utah pretends not to be Utah for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to lose the business. They don't want to scare away the people from LA, New York, wherever who come to this thing.
Yeah.
We put on this weird, we did it for the Olympics too, right?
Yeah, it's true. They
goes
go
to
all
show
out.
We are fucking whores when it comes to the point of view from famous people.
Yeah.
Like for that 2 weeks of the Olympics, first of all, it was
We're people
years.
pleasers.
It was years of building that shit, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as Olympics were over, it just falls apart. It just crumbles. Look at the Gateway Mall and shit like that.
Uh-huh.
But
It's so true.
it's so funny that like us as a state, we're so fucking paranoid about how people look at us that when
Yeah.
we have big events, the outdoor retailers
Yep,
thing,
that's
another
a
thing
huge
too.
one.
Like, no, we're not all Mormon. We can play. We're a lot of fun, right?
Yep.
Here, drink some alcohol. And the second's over. Like, okay, shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
We're back to Mormon shit.
Yep. I know. It is interesting when you think about it that way. I didn't really realize that, but we are people pleasers. The state. Utah, the people pleasers.
Everything Utahns could want is under an hour away. Most people assume that Utah is incredibly boring, but they're just incredibly wrong. Whatever your bag is, Utah has it, and it's usually just a short drive away. Hop in your car and head to the big city, and from there you can head right over to the charming homes in the mountain towns, or hike the canyons, or kayak in the Great Salt Lake, or camp out under the stars.
It's true. Everything's here. Everything is here.
It is. Like we got beaches,
Kind
they're
of.
lakes,
Kind
but
of.
they count, right?
Yeah. You have to
Hiking.
really know where to go to get the good ones, though, where they're not nasty and stink. And
Right.
our lakes aren't clean.
They aren't. I think they're kind of right here. You know, the idea that the film industry loves it out here because we have all the different climates.
Mm-hmm.
We got deserts in the south, we got the woods, we've got, I mean, they shot, whenever they do a movie about Mars, they shoot it here because we got parts that are just
Yeah.
vast and empty, right? But then also we have quaint little towns, and Salt Lake City is very adjustable. It's very malleable to pose as another city. So movies
Yeah,
like Dumb and
so
Dumber
true.
were shot here. You know, it's supposed to take place in Rhode Island, but they shoot it here.
Yep.
And Park City poses for Aspen.
Yep.
Like a lot of stuff gets shot here. So,
Yeah. That's so cool and interesting, isn't it? When you break this down. I mean, think about there's people that live on that East Bench, like Suncrest area. They have snow in their in their yard until June because they're facing a different direction from where the sun is. There's literally snow in their yard till June. So you're right. We have like all the seasons in one. Wow. My mind's blown right now.
Utahns love Halloween so much.
Oh my God.
They celebrate it twice.
Oh my
This is
God.
the funniest one I've read so
This
far.
is some shit. This is true.
Halloween comes once a year for everyone else, but in Utah it comes twice. Once on traditional Halloween, and then again in the summer for the annual Halloween Summer Festival in Magna, where people who just can't make it to October celebrate their love for everything that goes bump in the night. Like, I will show people pictures of my neighborhood during Halloween, and it's like fucking Disneyland, right? Like, there is like a gross GDP of finance, right?
Yeah.
Just to do Halloween shit. People put up massive
It's so true.
skeletons and werewolves,
I
and
know.
it reminds me like Clark Griswold, right?
Yeah.
If Clark Griswold was doing Halloween,
That's
what these houses would look like.
I'll never in a million years understand it.
It's a pagan holiday, right?
That's my point. Like, this is a religious state. God and Jesus and the Holy Ghost and the Mormon Church. And then Halloween is death and horror and blood. And help me make sense of it.
It doesn't make sense. And
Why
the
doesn't it
weird
make
thing
sense?
too is that they also have the trunk or treats, right?
Yeah.
So I think it used to be where if people didn't feel comfortable sending their kids out to heathen homes to get candy,
Yes.
oh, there's razor blades in the in the candy, and people are putting, what is the last thing, fentanyl in the gummy bears and shit.
Yeah.
So what they would do is they would have in church parking lots, everyone would pull their car in, open their trunk, and the trunk would be full of candy, and then your kids would just do that. But
Why is it any different?
it's not, because now they just go to both. Like, that's the thing that's so stupid is like everyone goes to the trunk or treat on a Saturday night,
Yeah.
and then whatever holiday Halloween falls on, then they just go to both. It's like, okay, you just kind of fucked your own point, but whatever.
Fucked your own point.
Yeah, fucked your own point.
That's so good.
Everyone in Utah would like people to shut up about their lucky underwear already.
Oh, yeah. The garments.
Did you wear them?
I wore the garments. I did for 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not too long.
Because Danny and I went through the temple. You know, we got sealed in the temple together. So
Right.
I had the lucky jammies.
That's another conversation altogether. Everyone in
They
Utah
were
wants to shut
so sexy too.
anything annoying question that Utahns always get asked is about the lucky underwear thing. Yes, it's a Mormon thing. No, not every Mormon wears them. And no one who is Mormon wears them. I have a story about that. Well, that's an assumption, since people don't generally walk around asking strangers about the underwear they're wearing as common practice. But if you're comfortable in doing that, keep asking. So for those that don't know, if you go through the temple, you get what's called a temple recommend, right? Where
You have to get a temple recommend first to go to the temple.
you have to prove yourself worthy to go into the Mormon temple.
Mhm.
And then part of that doctrine is that you have to wear these garments.
No, you take out your endowments while you're in
You
the
explain.
temple.
Okay.
So you get into the temple with your lucky temple recommend, and you take out your endowments while you're in there. And then after you take out your endowments during that session, during the temple, then that's when they bless you or whatever with the
Right.
garment. And then that's when you start wearing the garments. And they go under your clothes. For the women, it goes under their bra. Their bra goes over the top of it.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
It's skin to skin.
Ooh.
Skin to skin. Yep.
Okay. So my story now about garments.
Yeah.
I've told a story about this guy before on the podcast. I'm not going to name names. But this dude wasn't Mormon, but he used to go pick up girls at Mormon dances by saying he was Mormon.
Oh my God.
And then it got to this point where this dude was so fucking vicious, right? That he would actually go buy
No.
garments
I was just going to say.
and wear them. So
Ugh.
if people didn't believe he was Mormon as he was trying to pick up these women, he'd be like, well, here, let me show you something. And he'd open up his shirt and show that he was wearing garments. He was wearing them just to get laid by Mormon women who weren't sure.
This
And
is so bad.
it's so bad. Like the dude's going to hell, right? But the weird thing is that it worked. So
Yeah.
it's
Like I don't want to say too much just because there's a certain respect I have for the Mormon church.
I
like
actually
literally.
have, well, I have a respect for any religious foundation.
It's a sacred thing that they believe in.
Right.
And everything else, you just shouldn't mess around with stuff like that. Like if
Like-
it's not yours and you don't know the background behind it, that's just bad
It's
juju.
just, yeah, it's bad juju. Like,
Bad juju.
do I think it's ridiculous? 100%. But am
What a
I going
dick.
to,
What a dick.
am I
After
going to
this,
sully that thing?
after
No,
this, you got to
100%.
tell me who you're talking about because I
Yeah.
need to know. That's ridiculous.
Okay, we're going to do two more.
Okay.
So, number one, folks in Utah still play the lottery even though we have no lottery. Okay, so the joke, one of the jokes in Big Love is that like Mormons aren't supposed to gamble, right?
Yeah.
But some of the biggest gamblers this side of the country are Mormons.
Yep. Yep.
That's why we have Wendover on the border of Utah and
Idaho.
and Nevada.
Yep.
People gamble all the time. And then people will do big lotto pools and lotto trips,
Mhm.
either into Wyoming or into Idaho to buy lottery tickets.
Yep.
And especially if like the Powerball's like in the, hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
There's so much lottery money coming out of Utah into these other states. And the whole point is that's supposed to fuel the state's economy, right?
Yeah.
So when that happens, we're actually losing dollars in Utah
There-
and giving it to another state.
Have you heard about the new news?
I've heard that they're thinking about it. It's on the ballot.
They're thinking about, allowing lottery in Utah.
I mean, with all this shit, because we pay super ridiculous taxes on alcohol. Could you imagine if we had legal weed and the lottery?
The church has too tight of a hold on this state.
But does it though?
And
Because we've
I
all
just-
known that they've been putting money into like Coca-Cola stocks and hiding it from the public and shit.
it doesn't matter. We've been alive for how many years now? 42, 43 years.
Right.
And you still cannot buy alcohol on Sunday at the liquor store.
I honestly
That
think
is the most basic law that we could actually pass.
it could, but I think that's going to change soon because they're losing their numbers drastically, right?
So if that changes, then maybe
it's
then
the
maybe
catalyst,
weed,
right?
then maybe lottery.
And it's
then-
kind of funny because I'm going to talk shit about it right now because then all of a sudden someone's going to be like, I had a vision. I had a prophecy
yeah.
that we're going to be able to save this state if we open our laws to things like the lottery.
Yeah.
Don't do it too often,
Yep.
but it's going to be better for the state. Like that's how that shit always works.
Yeah, when they realize and they do the numbers and the math and the money that can be made and all the things, they'll have an epiphany for sure.
So, I mean, that's just a handful of stuff about this state that a lot of people don't know.
Mhm.
I'm going to say one of the things that I think whenever I tell people about Utah, when they
Yeah.
ask me about it, it's the women.
Oh,
Utah's got beautiful women, you
yeah.
included.
Oh, thanks.
And I think one of the reasons why that is because of the conservative nature of the state. A lot of
Mhm.
women are raised not drinking and smoking and doing certain things in their youth. Therefore, when they're older and they step away from the church and they start experimenting in things that they've been told not to do forever,
Mhm.
they've got to jump on the rest of society. That's why we have like these real housewives of Salt Lake City that are all in their 40s and 50s and they look like they're in their 20s and 30s. Like people just look healthier here. And I have to say that's probably why is like we do have a lot of people that are started on the conservative and religious path.
Yeah, that
And
could be.
So they have a jump start. That's just my tinfoil hat theory.
Yeah, they're also acting like they're 20 as well when they're in
That
their
is true.
when they're in their 40s and 50s. They're acting like they're 20 because they married really young and got into a situation where they were controlled, and so they have to like have a rebirth.
Yeah.
They have to like be reborn, figure out who they are, what they like, what beer is, what wine is. Like they have to start fresh when they get into their, I'm going to get divorced and be a real housewife of Utah.
Right.
And it's like, okay, then get a good head on your shoulders too. Don't just sit there and get Botox and your lips filled and look beautiful
Right.
because there's more to you than just beautiful.
Agreed.
Got to have a brain.
Is there anything about Utah that you would put on this list that didn't get mentioned?
I don't think so. The drivers?
The drivers.
I mean, the drivers are always a thing. It's just something I assume everyone should know by now, but Utah has the worst drivers in the world.
Yeah, I'd say Utah and Oregon. Oregon's pretty bad too.
So I've not experienced that, but my aunt and uncle have lived in Europe and Belgium, Netherlands. They lived in Europe for 8 years, and even when they come to Utah,
They're like, Jesus Christ.
they're like, this place. And they used to live here. They used to live in Utah. So I hear it from everybody, not just them, but we go to San Diego quite a bit and come back, and we're really extra special here. We'll camp out and we'll get in a fast lane and
camp.
Yeah, and just camp there going 70, and it's like,
And don't you dare pass me on the right.
I'll speed up I'll speed up. It's like these people are such assholes, and it's like, just get the fuck over so I can pass you going 90. I have somewhere to be.
Right.
It's usually at your house because I'm always late, but it's like, just get the fuck out of the way. Right.
So I got two things for our listeners this week. Number one, we want to hear more about the J names. So,
Yes. Please.
So let us know how you felt about that, and if you've got any more stories, so we can revisit that and piss off some more J names.
I want a J name to come out and be like, yes, that's true. I am an asshole.
I'm a fucking dick.
I fit the
I'm
criteria.
proud of it.
Yep. I want a J name to come out and do that. That would just make my day.
And then my other question for my Utah listeners, and maybe non-Utah listeners, is what's something that wasn't on this list if you're a Utah listener, and if you're a non-Utah person, what is something that you've heard that you were wondering if it was real or not that wasn't on this list?
That'd be fun.
Anyway,
Yeah.
fun times.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please follow us on the milfandmepod.com. Follow us on our social medias. Send those messages out to Diana.
Send them to me.
On the Milf and Me Instagram. That's
Please.
where most of the stuff gets answered.
Milf and Me Instagram is the best spot for us. I do check TikTok periodically, but not as much.
Not as much. All right. Everyone, we love you. We'll see you next week.
Love you. Bye.